Brilliant. So share screen. Just a thumbs up if you can see my slides. Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so My Food Community, which you're all here to learn a bit more about today. It's a new program from Food for Life get-togethers that we're going to be running for at least the next 2 years, and it's going to be launching in September of this year, towards the end of September this year. And it's really focusing on how we can support people who already take part in and organise activities around food, to connect with one another, to learn together, and ultimately to take action with their community, and enable them to engage others around good food, and take action as well on a larger scale. So ultimately, we're looking to build a network for good food champions to learn, connect, and take action. And what we'll cover today, just a bit of setting the scene, a bit of background about Food for Life get-togethers and My Food Community, what you could do as part of My Food Community, who it is for, who else is involved in delivering the programme, what you would need to take part, and most importantly, I think, is to give an opportunity for you to ask any of your questions that you have about it. So Food for Life get-togethers, you may have heard of it already, but if you haven't, it's a 4-year UK-wide programme from Food for Life, which is part of the Soil Association. And the aim of get-togethers is really to strengthen communities by connecting different generations of people and different communities through cooking, growing, and sharing food. And ultimately, get-togethers hopes to bring people together to not only improve their physical health, but also their mental well-being through tackling loneliness and isolation and building new friendships between people of all ages and all walks of life. And a Food for Life get-together is any event, big or small, where different generations come together to grow, share, and cook food. And like I said, you may already be aware of get-togethers because it's been running for 2 years, and I know that a lot of you have already engaged. But something that has really grown out of get-togethers is recognising the importance of individuals within communities to really engage with others and to encourage other people to take action around good food, which is where My Food Community has developed from. So a bit more about My Food Community itself. Like I said, it's a network for good food champions to learn, connect, and take action. And it's a program that will mostly be online from Food for Life get-togethers to bring together a network of people like yourselves who really champion good food. And good food is something that we see as food that is good for climate, nature, and health. So it could be sustainable food that is also healthy, or it could be using food to bring people together and supporting really inclusive and engaged communities. So good food is a big term, and it will mean different things to different people, but ultimately it's food that is good for climate, nature, and health. And more specifically, My Food Community is going to be a cohort of 50 people from across the UK. It's quite a big network of people, and it's going to be launching in September of this year and running through to May 2022, the end of May 2022. And the programme is really designed around 3 key areas to inspire, enable, and support that cohort of people to 1, learn and grow as good food champions. Number 2, to connect with others who champion good food. And number 3, ultimately to take action and lead change around good food. I'll go into those three pieces in a bit more detail in a moment. But firstly, you may be thinking, what is a good food champion? What do we actually mean by that? And I think a lot of people could be a good food champion without necessarily realizing it. It could be that you're already really engaged in your community through activities around good food. Or it could be that you're passionate and committed to good food and you want to engage even more in it. So there's a few questions here which you may relate to. So whether you use good food as a way to get people together and to connect could make you a good food champion. Whether you organise and support community activities around good food. And just a couple of examples could be working with your local food bank, organising a community fridge, running a small community farm, etc., etc. There's so many ways that you could engage as a good food champion. And like I said, whether you're passionate about creating positive change in your community could indicate that you are somebody that we're looking to engage through myfoodcommunity. Before I go on to a bit more detail around what's included, I'll pause there, and I can see Janine's got her hand raised. Have you got a question, Janine? Come on.
Yeah, it was just a quick one. What would you say community fridge is?
Sorry?
What would you put down, obviously, a community fridge? I'd just like to know a little bit more what would you say community fridge is?
That's a good question. So I've seen community fridges used by organisations like Hubbub. Have you heard of Hubbub? Hubbub, yeah. So what they do is one example of community fridges where they literally have a fridge in a community space, whether it's a community hall or a public space that is managed by local volunteers, and it's essentially an honesty-based fridge. The local community can come and collect food that is placed in there by local organizations, farms, etc. So it's kind of community-based food sharing. That's the example I've seen.
And what was it called? Hub?
Hubbub. I will say Hubbub. I know that they run community fridges. There may be other examples, but that's
Hubbub. Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, I just intrigued to see what it meant by it. But yeah, thank you very much.
No, good question. Good question. Brilliant. Any other questions so far? Cool. I'll share my screen again. Okay, so going into a bit more detail on those three areas of the programme. So learning and growing as good food champions, connecting with others, and taking action around good food. So the first one, learning and growing, is really hoping to support you and everyone in the cohort to build your knowledge around good food, to access networks, both within the cohort and more widely within the good food movement, and gaining resources to organise good food activities with the community. We know that people already do this, and some people may want to do more. So it's really about supporting you to develop your knowledge and skills to help you to do even more of the good work that you do. The second part around connecting is ultimately making connections with others in myfoodcommunity, in your local community and across the UK, because this is a national cohort, to support each other to make change around good food. Supporting one another, learning from one another, sharing experiences, and ultimately connecting within the time that you're part of myfoodcommunity and beyond as well. And then thirdly, taking action around good food. So we want to be able to support you to take action and lead positive change around good food in your community. And there will be various resources to help you to do that, including grant funding to support any projects that you may want to run, obviously the support of My Food Community and that network, but also connecting you to other initiatives and networks in your local area and across the country as well. So going into even more detail around the programme, so it will consist of learning together as a community, so as a whole cohort, and also in smaller groups, with expert-led sessions around relevant topics around good food. So asking questions like, what do we mean by good food? What is food citizenship? And then going deeper into topics around things like food poverty, community-based farming, and also focusing on leadership development as well, and your personal development. And also having a practical toolkit of resources that you can use. So we're looking to build a bank of knowledge and resources that is there for you to both use and also contribute to as well. Secondly, connecting as a cohort, there will be spaces throughout the programme for discussions, to share and build ideas with one another and support one another to make stuff happen. And we'll have an online platform for you to make those connections, whether we use something like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, but also have a space online for you to share your ideas, including a Facebook group as well. And yeah, like I've mentioned, support within the cohort will be there for you, and also to connect with other networks. A big focus of My Food Community is learning individually and through self-reflection as well. So there will be a focus throughout the programme on developing your leadership, and we understand that not everybody may recognise themselves as a leader, even though a lot of people do lead change through their work and within their community. So really this part is about understanding your strengths and setting goals and having activities for your learning and reflection to really develop and support your impact as a leader within your community. And all of this is with the aim of supporting you to take action. And like I said, you'll have the support and resources to lead good food activities with your community, the chance to apply for grant funding, and also to learn, share your learning and raise the profile of whatever you do in your community around good food, and raise the profile of your project or the issue that you're working on. Okay, I think, is there a question there? I'll stop sharing. Did someone have a question? Did I see a hand raised at all? I thought I did, sorry. I see, Slack is a good online platform to use. Yes, potentially we will use something like Slack, but from the research we've done, there's also a lot of people who aren't aware of Slack, but it is potentially something that we will use. Okay, so what will the structure of the programme look like, and what will you be doing? So it will predominantly be online. A lot of what we do is online now, and it really enables us to bring people from across the UK together and make those connections. So it'll be regular online monthly meetups, either as a whole network together or in smaller groups. And we're proposing those regular meetups of a total of 5 hours per month, not all in one go necessarily, as 5 hours is quite a long time in one session, but split it over in different sessions across the month. And then outside of those sessions, the self-led learning and peer support that could help with your development throughout the programme. And the programme is designed to be quite flexible and to make it as easy as possible for you to participate. And there is no cost for you to take part. I want to make that clear. It's completely, there's no cost at all for you to take part. And there are core parts which you'd really need to take part in to get the most out of the programme. And there will also be optional parts that you could match to your interests and your personal learning and development needs. And we would ask that you commit to participating in the core parts of My Food Community as a minimum, which would be around 5 hours per month, and really be ready to take what you learn from My Food Community and the connections that you build to then take action with your community over the course of the programme. And another aspect which is really important to us is making sure that My Food Community suits your needs and is most beneficial for you. So you will be a founding member of My Food Community, and you'll have the chance to develop parts of the programme to meet your needs and your community's needs. And you will be able to tell us what are the topics that really interest you, that you'd be most interested in learning about. And as much as we can, we will respond to those needs and later in the programme support you in what you're most interested in. And ultimately, this is the first year of My Food Community, and we want to continue developing it around your needs and improving it for future cohorts. So you'll really be helping to shape My Food Community both for this year and next year as well. And when you complete the programme in May, you'd become a founding good food leader in My Food Community. So ultimately an alumni of My Food Community, and you could remain part of the network and support future cohorts as well. Moving on to who it's for, who is My Food Community for? We're looking for people who are already or are in a position to be involved in good food and champion food that is good for people and planet, and supporting actions within their community around good food. And it's open to professionals and formal or informal volunteers. So it could be as part of your job, as part of the organisation that you work for, or we're aware that lots of people do voluntary work with their community in groups. So if you want to engage in a voluntary capacity, then it's open to you as well. And we're really looking for a really diverse range of people from different places, different backgrounds, from across the country, who represent different groups and settings as well. And I guess to name just a few, you might be involved in mutual aid, food distribution, or your local food bank, like I mentioned before. There really is a huge range of things that you could do that may make you suitable for My Food Community. And like I said, we really welcome people with different levels of experience of leading others. We really don't want to put off people by talking about leadership and leading people in your community. I think we all are leaders in our own right. And this programme welcomes people with varying levels of experience in that, and we'd support you to develop both personally and professionally to do more of that good stuff in your community. Who else is involved in My Food Community? So there's obviously myself and the team at Food for Life get-togethers, but we're working with our national partners as well, who are supporting us to design and deliver My Food Community. So that includes organisations you might have heard of, including Eden Projects Communities, the Royal Voluntary Service, and Food Sense Wales. They're all involved in, obviously, all across the UK, and they're involved in developing My Food Community with us. And other national partners, including Generations Working Together and Linking Generations in Northern Ireland, are also involved in promoting My Food Community. And we're also working with Corio, who is a learning consultancy who are dedicated to social change within communities. And they're a small but dedicated team of learning designers, producers, and facilitators who partner with organisations like Soil Association and Food for Life to support people within their communities to lead positive change, and they will be bringing their expertise to My Food Community as well. Focusing on what you need to take part, this is more a practical point, and it's really just to say that because My Food Community is predominantly online, you will need access to a computer, a laptop, or a tablet, with access to the internet and access to Zoom, which obviously you're already on. And like I said, there's no cost to being involved. So if any of that is a barrier to being involved, or if you know anybody who would like to be involved in My Food Community, but this is a barrier at all, please encourage them to contact us at myfoodcommunity@soilassociation.org, and we can see how we can support with that at all. Okay, so getting on to, actually, first of all, any questions on that? Please raise your hand or speak if any questions. No. So moving on to how you can register your interest and apply to take part. You may have seen already in the communications provided to you that there's a simple application form that you need to complete in order to register your interest. And this asks for your details and answers to 3 questions around your passion for creating change around good food, how you have done or intend to make change around good food, and what you hope to gain from being part of My Food Community and a group of good food champions. There's a lot more detail on this in the information and guidance pack, which I can share a link to, and also on the form itself. And the reason that we ask these questions is really just to make sure that the application process is fair for everyone who registers their interest. Because there are 50, it's limited to 50 places. And because this is the first time that we're running the program, we don't necessarily know how many people will be interested and apply. So we just need to be able to look at how suitable people are for My Food Community and how committed people will be and how much they would benefit from taking part in the program. So we will assess applications against the criteria that we set out in the application form. So please just make sure when you are completing the form, if you do apply, then please give as much detail as you can within the word limit on the form, and give examples of any ways that you meet the criteria. That'd be fantastic. And just to go over what we're looking for to be part of My Food Community. This is all in the information pack, but just to go over it now, these are things which we would hope people who want to be part of My Food Community can demonstrate, and that's all of the things I've mentioned before around the passion and commitment to being a good food champion, having the experience or the desire to lead and organize action around good food with your community, and linked to that, the desire and ability to put what you learn from My Food Community into practice with people that you know, and also being open and willing to share, to learn and share with others as part of the network within My Food Community, and engaging in the program online. And just as a final point, the program is for people aged 18 or above. Just to make that point clear. So I have talked quite a lot. Like I said at the beginning, this is hopefully a really informal session. So please do let me know if you have any questions, anything at all at this stage. If you're thinking of registering your own interest, or if you even know anyone else that may be interested, please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you very much. I'll stop sharing now. So yeah, does anyone have any questions off the back of that? Hi, Suzanne.
Hi. One thing what you said about the opportunity to apply for grant funding, and it's maybe too early to answer this, but
Mhm.
what sort of things do you think, would that be something shared between the network, or is it specific local projects?
That's a really good question, and you're right. That is something that we don't have a full answer for yet, because the grant funding will come in the second half of the program, probably around January time next year, and ultimately we'd be looking to provide grant funding around what the cohort is most interested in. So it's kind of, we want to have the cohort on board, find out what you're really passionate about and what would be most useful for you to have grant funding for before we make that offer. But specifically in answer to your question, I think we would be looking at encouraging the network to work together as much as possible. So perhaps you would be able to get a bigger amount of grant funding if you were working with others in the network to make change in multiple areas across the country. That's not to say that you wouldn't get grant funding for a single project in a single place, but I think, yeah, perhaps what you were pointing towards in your question was would we encourage collaboration? And yes, we definitely would.
Great, thank you. That's really useful.
No worries. Hi, Camilla.
Hi, just one question. Like you discuss about like the opportunity to have to discuss some topics. Will these topics be decided by can we kind of recommend some topics, or just what, for example, has been our experience so far, and maybe, or it's something that is already been decided or will be already be decided?
Also a really good question, and it's half and half basically. So obviously we need to design some of the program and define some of those topics for early in the program before the cohort starts in order for us to prepare. But there's definitely going to be space throughout the program and probably later in the second half for you and other people in the network to tell us and to tell each other what you're most interested in, what you're passionate about, how you can share your learning as well. So making it very participant-led, and so that you can share your experience as well. That's definitely going to be part of the program. Really good questions, by the way. Any other questions that you might have? Is anyone interested in applying? Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Can I ask a question of you? How did everyone hear about My Food Community? It'd be great to know how you heard about it.
I think through Big Lunch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're already SOL certified, so we're with the SOL Association, so we get a lot of newsletters, and we work closely with local schools, so we're already part of the get-togethers team.
Right.
We ran quite a few events with them, like the Plant and Share Month. So our local coordinator let me know that this was an opportunity coming about. So I'm personally excited about it.
That's great. Great. Hi, Sue.
So I've done events before with Joe Hind. So so he sent me but he sent me an email to say, you know, this might be something you're interested in, would you come along, and so forth. So that's yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm relatively new to the get-togethers team, so it's fantastic to hear, Janine and Sue, that you've already been involved with colleagues that I'm working with. So good to meet you. Yeah,
we were also funded we were part of the Food for Life project. We got a little bit funding a couple of years ago too. Yeah. last year, actually.
Brilliant. And is that Rumpus Rooms, Camilla?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about Rumpus Rooms? It sounds interesting.
It's an artist-led organization that actually work with young people in collaboration with young people and families. And she develops project, like more social action projects. And since the beginning of 2020, we're starting to work around food as well and growing. And that's been part of the program. So it's explore kind of creativity in different, on different aspects and levels. And yeah.
Wow, sounds great. It's really, really good. Brilliant. Any other questions? Not to say if you've got any burning questions that you think of later, please contact us at myfoodcommunity. I will share our email address in the chat. Just 1 second. I will also share in the chat the website. That'd be very useful for you. So the webpage includes all of the details around My Food Community, including a link to the information and guidance pack that I mentioned, which has even more details if you want to learn more. There's a link to all of those there. So take a look at them in your own time, and please get in touch with me if you have any questions. Applications are open until 9 AM on the 12th of July. So still a bit of time to apply. But like I said in the presentation, put as much information as you can into that, because when we look at your application, we're actually taking away all of your personal information so that we don't know who the application is for, so that we judge your application based on the information you provide in your answers. So it's a completely fair process. So please include as much information as you can. And yeah, I look forward to seeing some applications from you. Any final questions before we wrap up? No. Suzanne, did you have a question?
No, sorry,
No.
I just accidentally unmuted myself. I actually need to go because I have to go eat lunch. But thank you so much.
Very
really,
important.
yes.
Thank you for giving up your
so
lunchtime.
much.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting program. Okay, see you. Bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.